Hi, welcome to New Dad Diaries with me Alex and with my son Mayan, and today we are gonna show you the ins and outs of doing a bottle. Not so much the feeding, just the actual preparation behind doing a bottle. Now you're probably gonna find that throughout this video he's gonna be kind of moaning and crying a little bit. Reason being is that I kind of lost track of time a little bit and I didn't realise that he was gonna be due his bottle round about now, and so he's kind of letting me know he's ready. I kind of dropped the ball. They're pretty good at that. Most babies will get pretty regular and they kind of feed around about the same time. Mayan is now 5.5 weeks old, so he's generally eating every 4 hours. I kind of lost track of time, which is why he is in the baby carrier. I don't always permanently have him attached, but as he's kind of crying, Mum is currently in bed having a bit of a rest, so I'm kind of looking after him because he's going to start getting a little bit grumpy, a little bit cry. I can't leave him on his own, so I can't just kind of plop him in his basket or in his chair. We're going to kind of show you what we should have done around about 20 minutes ago. We started with the sterilizer and we're going to go over there now. Wow, look at that. It's like I've got somebody working for me. So this is the sterilizer. This is the sterilizer. They come in many forms. This is a Tommy Tippy one, pretty well known brand. This is great because it can hold 6 bottles at a time. Unfortunately, as we've been mixing his formula around, because he is formula fed, he's currently on a fast flow teat, which we'll get to. So we have 6 usable bottles, but we only have 2 usable teats, which is really awkward. But anyway, these have been sterilised. Basically, you need to wash them first. Don't be under the presumption that this just washes them. It doesn't. You need to wash them and then sterilise them, which for me is I think it's a lot of bullshit, because everything else that kind of goes on, you know, I've washed my hands and everything, but kind of everything else, it's not exactly the most sterile environment, but whatever. What we need a lid, we need one of these rings, we need a number 3 fast flow teat, which is going to be probably a little difficult to find. Oh, look at that first time. So you can kind of see on there, or maybe you can't. Oh, you might be able to see that. So that's a number 3, which means a fast flow. Number 1 is kind of the normal ones that you get for the baby, the first milks. And we need, and it is a 2-tiered. Watch, it's quite hot, very steamy. So that's basically what you do with it. Fill it up with exactly 80 ml of water, and it is a Tommy Tippy, and these are Tommy Tippy bottles, and they've actually put a convenient dotted line where you fill the water up and you put 80 ml, and it says in the book you put 80 ml of water in, but personally sometimes I like to put 90 in, just because I'm a rebel like that. You fill it up, you sterilise everything. That means we're now pretty much good to go and start making our bottle. So let's go to the bottle making station, which is pretty much where the kettle is. Put these guys back over here. What we need, first things first, boiled water, of course. Now, one of the things with this, in the instructions on the back of the milk, and all milks have different instructions, and the one we are currently using is the Aptamil Colic and Constipation. Aptamil is the most expensive. Other brands are available at your local supermarket. This is just the one we ended up using. I don't know why it is the most expensive. We started on the first milk, and he has been suffering with constipation, so now he's on this one, which is why it's a thicker formula, which is why he needs the fast flow teats. Basically, the fast flow just means it's got a bigger hole in the top. Not massive, but it's just because it's a thicker formula, it needs to come out a lot easier. As I was saying, what it says with this milk is that you are supposed to boil your kettle, let it cool down for 30 minutes, and then start making your formula. Ain't nobody got time for that, okay? In the middle of the night, you're not gonna get up an extra half an hour early just to boil the kettle. That's ridiculous. I don't know how it used to be done, because a lot of people kind of say they used to make up their bottles and then heat them up. That ain't the way it works anymore, and this is kind of coming from these guys, this is coming from our midwives. You basically make up every formula as they need them. Shelf life on these things is crap. Only on the instant mix stuff, you can kind of buy the pre-made cartons, and that has like up to 6 hours in the fridge or something like that. With the powder, you pretty much have to make them there and then, and yeah, I think you've got like an hour and a half, 2 hours. After that, you are told to throw them away, so you can't just make up all your cold ones and then warm them up as and when they need them. So at kind of 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever o'clock in the morning, whatever routine your baby ends up on, it's not exactly easy, but it ain't rocket science to make these things. So basically, you got your ring, you got your teat, pull it in, clip it in, and making it look more difficult than it actually is. So we've got that. We're now going to fill this up to 180 millilitres. Now we haven't got a baby here, so I'm going to kind of make sure I've got a bit of distance from him and the boiling, scalding hot water. And I'm going to be careful when I'm kind of showing you this now, because as much as I want to make a video, I don't want to give my child 3rd-degree burns. But as you can see, so you've got 180 mils, which in American money is about 6.5 ounces. That is what he's currently on now at a 5-week-old baby. It says on the back of it, it's kind of got all the details of how old and stuff. So 180 mils is generally for a 2-month-old baby, so he's a bit of a fat little knacker. However, he was born premature. He was born at 6 pounds 8.5 ounces. He was 4 weeks early. At his last weigh-in last week, he was 9 pounds 3 ounces, so he's doing pretty well at chucking that weight back on. Because he's eating 180 ml. To have to leave this to cool for 30 minutes, and nobody's got time for that. So what I'm going to do, and you just wait there for a moment. Okay, and I'm back. Pint glass, or whatever you call it in your funny American money. Just a big glass. Or a bowl, whatever. And I'm kind of gonna put it in the sink, and I'll kind of let you see, and then plop that in it, and just kind of keep the cool water running in it for now. And turn it down a little bit more. We're wasting water, but that's just the way it goes. So now I know that it generally takes round about 4 minutes for that to cool down to an appropriate temperature. So what I generally do is set 4 minutes on the oven clock, so I don't even need to think about it anymore. And then at 4 minutes, then we start putting the formula in. So we'll kind of come to that in a minute. And that's kind of pretty much it. Because they do wake up, you will get into a pattern where you generally wake up before them. I'm fortunate at the moment, I do work from home, and because I am working, my wife is on maternity leave, she takes the evening feeds, so it's kind of like 2 awkward hours, usually kind of like 2 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock, or sometimes a little bit early, sometimes like 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And as often as not, I will do the latest feed before I go to bed, and then the earliest feed when I wake up in the morning. But she is the unfortunate one that gets the midnight feed. Well, not midnight, but the middle of the night. She generally wakes up before he starts crying for it. So you do kind of get into a good routine, but nobody really tells you how much hassle making these bottles is. It's easy. It's really easy. You know, a simpleton can do it. I am doing it. It's awkward having to do it every time, and it can be a little bit inconvenient, but hey ho. And which is why, for everything it's worth, breastfeeding is probably the best way to go. We did breastfeed for, I say we, I didn't do it, I've not got breasts. Don't be stupid. My wife breastfed for 3 weeks, and which they say kind of the early days is the most important. I mean, it's a personal choice. Not everybody wants to do it. Not everybody, you don't have to do it. It's not poison formula, so it's not a big deal. But because he was born early, he actually had jaundice, and I'm going to do a different video about all that some other time. So he was kind of tired a lot of the time, he wasn't eating much, and he was kind of like really lazy breastfeeding, which made it that little bit harder. And so we kind of stuck with it for 3 weeks, but then it was a case of he was feeding every hour, and he would literally feed for like 20 minutes, put him down, and then within the next hour he was crying again. So for a good 2 weeks my wife pretty much didn't sleep. So she's the star of the show. This is what I'm doing. I'm kind of doing these videos, but as far as the show goes with this little man, she is most definitely the star of it. So us guys, if you're the right kind of guy, we just do what we can and kind of fit in around them, fit in around baby as well. I'll kind of walk you through the rest of the stuff. Pretty kind of simple to use. On the back it does say, and I don't know if this is the same for every type of formula, I imagine it is. They're all very much the same. I think the likes of Aptamil are also, I don't know if it's the same company, it might be, as Cow & Gate, which is another kind of really big company. It's all the kind of same kind of stuff. It's all coming from the same place, so it ain't that big a deal. Whatever you get is going to be fine for you, baby. But in this one particularly, it does kind of tell you how much they should be eating, how many scoops per feed. We didn't go on this milk second, we were on a reflux milk because he was being sick quite a lot. And then he stopped being sick, but he was getting constipated quite a lot, so now we're on this one. So we've kind of been changing up, and it's about finding what's right for baby. This is now done. Give it a little shake around. You find that if it's just sat in the water, it kind of chills the kind of bottom part of the water and the top part. Now it's probably still going to be a little bit warmer than you would give to your baby, but that's okay because we're on the thicker formula and you have to let it set, basically. So what we've got now is he's on 180 mils and you do 1 scoop for every 30 mils. 1 second. So it's gone from hot to cold, it contracts a little bit of science for you there. And there's like the water suction, so it all... Anyway, 1 scoop per 30 mils, so he's on 180 mils. And if your maths is good enough, that's 6 scoops. So, top off. And we'll readjust the camera so you can kind of get a little bit more of a close-up. There you go. Now the cool things about these, and I didn't notice it when I first started doing the feeds, you've got your little scoop here, and there's actually a little shelf. So you kind of do a scoop and you give them 1 level scoop. Okay, it says on the box, on the tin, on the whatever, don't kind of try to make it up. You know, if you do 1 short, don't do the next one big, pour it away and do the next one as a full scoop. So we have got 1 scoop, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I'm not trying to treat you like we're on Sesame Street and I'm saying the numbers out loud because of that. The reason I say the numbers out loud is because I then remember the numbers. Because there are so many times, especially when you're doing the late feeds or the early feeds, that you're going, yeah, throw them in, and you forget how many you've done. And this shit ain't cheap, so I recommend kind of counting it out, just for yourself more than anything. So now we shake it for 20 seconds. And that's probably going to round about do it. So that is well shook up now, mixed together, and now we literally have to wait another 7 minutes for this to set. So again, we go back to the oven. And there you have it. That is pretty much everything you need to know about putting together a bottle. At least this bottle. It ain't difficult, but it's not convenient. If you've not even got any bottles ready, then you're pretty much looking at kind of 6 to 8 minutes. We've got a little container sterilizer, like a travel sterilizer, and that's 6 minutes in the microwave. Or you've got that takes 8 minutes, or like 10 minutes to let everything cool down. Then you've got to boil your kettle, which you can do beforehand, which is fine, but then you've got another 4 minutes to cool it down. You're looking at a good 20 minutes plus to be getting your forming ready. And we're kind of fortunate with Mayim that he isn't a massive screamer, and once he's kind of in this baby carrier, he does chill out. But if your baby kind of lets you know that it's time to be fed and you ain't on the ball with it, then may God have mercy on you, because you know it makes things a little bit harder, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning. Always kind of be prepared. That would be my biggest thing for you. Always try to make sure you've got your bottles pre-sterilised, which I actually didn't. We had some sterilised, I didn't have the teats sterilised, that was my problem. We had loads of bottles, but we've only got 2 of the fast flow teats, so we're constantly having to recycle them. But yeah, so that's kind of pretty much everything, pretty simple. Feeding is a different challenge altogether, so we will go over that some other time. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, then let me know in the comments. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up and a like, and subscribe to see what happens next. Sweet dreams. So my wife just watched the video before I published it, and she commented on a few things that she feels I should mention to you guys. Slight oversights on my behalf. First of all, the milk cartons, they don't have a 6-hour life in the fridge. They have a 24-hour life from when they've been opened, so I do apologise. She has done far more of those feeds than I have. We use them quite a lot while we're in the hospital, which she was obviously in the hospital more than I was. Second of all, some of you may have noticed that with the steriliser, I left the lid off through the entire video, which kind of defeats the object of sterilising the bottles. Once you sterilise them, you are supposed to put the lid back on top of the steriliser, and apparently it keeps them for 24 hours, but I failed to see how that works anyway. You already know my issues with the steriliser. And then, not so much an error on my behalf, but something she wanted me to comment on. When I held the teat up to the camera to show you the number 3 on it, some of you may be wondering why that tummy tippy teat is so yellowed. It doesn't really look white and clear like they are supposed to. That is because we made a big mistake, which is a learning lesson that we can pass on to you. We have a dishwasher, we have a 2-racked dishwasher, and we kind of put all the bottles and everything in the top rack to wash them in preparation for them going into the steriliser. Now normally we do just kind of sink wash them with a brush. But we did put them in the top rack as we have done previously. Unfortunately, on the bottom rack we had a pan that we'd cooked spaghetti bolognese in the night before, so it basically sprayed orange spaghetti bolognese all over everything, and it would appear that they have been permanently stained, as is the way with bolognese sauce. So they're fine, they're clean, but they are currently stained slightly yellow. So we have tried to boil wash them and everything else, and in the steriliser they don't seem to be becoming any clearer, but there you go, that is why they are the colour they are. So that was my wife's input into the video, so thanks again for watching. Sweet dreams!